3 days after I left for college, I should have been celebrating my newfound independence. Instead, I was sitting in my dorm room, staring at a text from my neighbor back home. "I'm so sorry about your dog." My blood ran cold. "What about my dog?" I called home immediately. My mom answered with fake concern dripping from her voice. "Oh honey, Rex got out while you were gone. We looked everywhere, but..." Her pause was theatrical. "We had to put him down. He was suffering." I knew she was lying. Rex never tried to escape. He was old but healthy. But despite how badly she wanted me to have zero independence, I also wasn't allowed to be happy. Killing my dog was her first move in a game I didn't even know we were playing. In the middle of my college journey, everything started falling apart. Some combination of imposter syndrome and very real depression hit me like a freight train. I was drowning, working a side job 25 hours a week, doing a sport, serving as a TA, and managing a co-op internship that demanded another 25 hours weekly. I was so busy I sometimes didn't have time to eat or shower, let alone sleep. I had one class that became my breaking point. I failed 2 tests, putting me on track to fail entirely. To preserve my GPA and keep my scholarship, I made the painful decision to drop the class. I'd retake it over the summer at a community college back home, which meant dipping into my emergency fund, but whatever. I needed to survive. Desperate for some relief, I took a few days off work and went home for a long weekend, just trying to decompress. My dad caught me in the kitchen, saw I was frazzled, and asked what was wrong. I explained my situation about dropping the class. He asked thoughtful follow-up questions, made sure I was still on track to graduate, even offered to pay me so I could quit my side job. Then he left for his poker game. Everything seemed normal. Supportive even. Then my mom came home from work. We got to talking, and she found out about me dropping the class. That's when she lost her fucking mind. She screamed at me for hours and hours, until I was curled into a ball against the kitchen island, sobbing uncontrollably. Her words cut deeper than any physical blow ever could. "I don't love you," she hissed, her face twisted with rage. "I love your brother more. I wish you'd never been born." But the piece de resistance, the words that would echo in my head for years. "You should just drop out because you're clearly too stupid for your major. If you had studied harder and were smarter, you never would have had to drop the class." I laid there on that cold kitchen floor, my world crumbling around me. This was the woman who was supposed to love me unconditionally. Instead, she was systematically destroying what little confidence I had left. Every insecurity I'd ever had about my intelligence, my worth, my place in the world, she weaponized all of it. The sound of my dad's car in the driveway broke the spell. She immediately stopped yelling and stomped upstairs to bed, leaving me broken on the floor. My dad helped me up, grabbed a drink, and went to his office without a word. He'd heard enough to know what happened, but he chose silence. I wiped my face, took a deep breath, and walked out of that house into the pitch-black night. I got in my car and drove the 7 hours back to school on no sleep and no food, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. That was the moment I made a decision that would define the rest of my college career. I didn't go back home again. Not once. The woman who was supposed to be my safe harbor had become my greatest threat. So I cut the anchor and drifted into my own strength. For the next 2 years, I threw myself into my studies with a vengeance. Every late night in the library, every difficult exam, every moment of doubt, I channeled that kitchen floor humiliation into fuel. My grades improved dramatically. I made Dean's List. I landed prestigious internships. I built a life that had nothing to do with her toxic expectations. Meanwhile, she tried to reel me back in. Guilt trips about missing holidays. Fake concern about my mental health. Attempts to turn other family members against me. But I'd learned something powerful that night. Her opinions of me said nothing about who I actually was and everything about who she was. When graduation rolled around, I had 4 tickets to distribute. I gave my dad his ticket. Despite his silence that night, he'd been the one to offer support when I needed it. My grandparents got theirs. They'd always been proud of my achievements. My sister received hers. She cheered me on through every phone call and video chat. Then I walked into the security office on campus with a photo of my mother. "I need this woman banned from my graduation ceremony," I said, my voice steady. "She's not welcome at either the main ceremony or the engineering ring ceremony." The security officer looked at the photo, then at me. "Are you sure about this? This is pretty permanent." I thought about that kitchen floor. I thought about my dead dog. I thought about every time she'd tried to convince me I wasn't smart enough, wasn't good enough, wasn't enough. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. They took her information and added her to the banned list. She would not be allowed within 500 feet of either ceremony. If she tried to enter, she'd be escorted out by campus police. The day of graduation arrived. As I walked across that stage in my cap and gown, I spotted my family in the audience. My dad beaming with pride. My grandparents wiping away tears. My sister cheering loudly enough to embarrass herself. And somewhere across campus, in a separate building, my mom was watching on a projector screen like a stranger. She demanded to know why she couldn't attend. My dad had to explain that their daughter, the one she'd called too stupid for college, had personally banned her from the ceremony. The shock on her face when she realized she had no power here, no ability to manipulate or control the situation, was everything I'd dreamed it would be. But the ring ceremony was my masterpiece. In engineering programs, the ring ceremony is sacred. It's intimate, meaningful, and they don't film it for privacy reasons. She couldn't watch from another building. She couldn't see it streamed anywhere. She was simply excluded. As the presenter slipped that ring onto my finger, symbolizing my achievement and my entry into the profession, I thought about that woman who'd tried to convince me I was too stupid to be there. She would never see this moment. She would never witness the culmination of everything she'd tried to destroy. That ring ceremony was my ultimate fuck you to her, and I have been chasing that high ever since. The pure, crystalline satisfaction of proving someone so completely wrong while simultaneously removing their ability to taint your moment of triumph. Years later, I learned she'd spent graduation day crying to anyone who would listen about how cruel and ungrateful I was. How she'd sacrificed everything for my education. How I was just like my father's side of the family. The same manipulation tactics, the same victim narrative, but this time with zero audience that mattered. The most beautiful part wasn't just that I'd succeeded despite her cruelty. It was that I'd learned to protect my joy from people who would try to steal it. That kitchen floor had taught me that some people will try to break you simply because they can't stand to see you whole. But that graduation stage taught me something even more powerful. You don't have to give toxic people access to your victories. You can achieve everything you've dreamed of while keeping the people who tried to stop you locked outside, watching through windows, powerless to diminish what you've built. Now, whenever I face a challenge or someone tries to convince me I'm not capable of something, I think about that ring sliding onto my finger while she sat in a parking lot, banned from witnessing the very thing she'd tried to prevent. I think about the look on my dad's face when he realized his daughter had grown strong enough to draw boundaries even he couldn't cross. That's the power of strategic revenge. It's not about destruction, it's about protection. It's about building a life so successful and well-defended that the people who tried to break you become irrelevant to your story. The woman who called me too stupid to succeed never got to see me graduate. She never got to touch my diploma or witness my ring ceremony. She never got the satisfaction of inserting herself into my moment of triumph. Instead, she got exactly what she deserved, nothing. A view from the outside of a life she'd tried to destroy, but only made stronger. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't hurting someone back. It's building something so beautiful they can't reach it, no matter how hard they try. And every time I look at my ring, I remember, I am not too stupid. I am not a failure. I am exactly strong enough to protect what I've built from people who would try to tear it down. The girl who cried on that kitchen floor grew up to be the woman who banned her mother from graduation. And that transformation? That's a victory no one can ever take away.